to see Shang. This is the third time I'm seeing him. He had a great lineup with Vaughn DiCarlo, Black Pedro, Jason Rogers, um, Raymond Montoya, and your host, Walter Ford. So I showed up, brought my friend Rinkata with me. He always wanted to see what kind of comedy shows I would recommend. I picked this one. And it'd be kind of nice to see some of the new comics there. And what's great is that Walter Ford, he actually had a show in Carlsbad, but he had someone else host his show up there while he was down at the Laugh Factory downtown to host the show for Shang. That's awesome because Walter Ford did his usual stuff. Energetic crowd for the most part. They liked what he had to say, and the fact that Walter Ford does like to act out his jokes too. It was always great. I would say he was about an 8.2 out of 10. Funny guy. I saw him in the middle of the show actually. Then the next person that came up, I believe his name was Jason Rogers. First time seeing the guy. Guy said he was from South Korea. I gotta admit, it was kind of mellow throughout most of his set, and it did kind of pick up a little bit later in the set, but overall, it was kind of a mellow vibe. There were some laughs, but not too loud of the laughs, from what I can tell. Kind of super cool though. It's nice to meet him. I would say he was about a 7.8 out of 10 for his comedy. Next person that came up, I believe it was Raymond Montoya, and seen him twice before. He is usually touring with Shang. I did see him at the American Comedy Company one time that didn't have Shang at it. Yeah, it was just kind of a chance meeting him again. He actually ended up going to the Madhouse after, which is his usual thing. He did actually have to perform at the Madhouse once he did his set from the Laugh Factory. So Mary Montoya, he kind of talked about his daughter and how annoying she can be when she doesn't stop talking. Wasn't like that before they got in the car, but when they got in the car, she's talking nonstop, and that is Raymond's bread and butter, talking about that car bit with the daughter. So it's kind of funny because he has a way to kind of get back at her. So I always enjoy this set, and crowd liked it. Maybe parts of the crowd, but it was kind of consistent. Parts of the crowd like throughout the whole set he had. So I would say Raymond was about 8.2 out of 10 for his comedy. I believe the next person that came up was I think it was Black Pedro. I think it was. So Black Pedro, first time seeing the guy. Guy goes by Pedro Hernandez. Guy was really funny though. He got the crowd laughing quite a bit during the set. And then I would say maybe he was 8.7 out of 10. Did pretty well, especially with the ladies in the front row. And there was two couples to the left of the stage, and I was sitting up more to the right of the stage. So good interaction throughout his set. So he did pretty well, and yeah. Next person was Juan DeCarlo. This is now my second time seeing her. I saw her with Shang and Raymond before. Uh, when I That was probably the first time I met her, and the first time I met Ray actually too. Um, and they kind of remember me. I think they do. They kind of remember me. Um, so her set wasn't exactly how I remembered it before. Um, she did mention, well, she tends to be a little clingy, but she was more extensive the first time I heard it. But the second time, it wasn't as much, so I could tell it's a little different. And I found out that she actually has a daughter, that she's like 24 or something. Uh, if you look at Vaughn, you wouldn't think that she had a kid that old, actually. So, so yeah, I would say she looks pretty good for someone who has a 24-year-old your daughter. So, overall, she had a good set. I was laughing. Crowd, Nick laughed quite a bit. Um, I would say she was probably 8.6 out of 10. And then you got your headliner, Shang. So from what I can remember, Shang does pretty well with crowd work, and he did do that again. But this time it wasn't too crowd work heavy to start off, because at the mic drop it was very crowd work heavy at the beginning, and I don't think he actually told one joke. But this time actually he did tell some jokes, and some of it was kind of familiar, and there were some new stuff this time around. Talked about how, his kid walks around naked sometimes. Talked about how his kid's junk had grazed his face or something. There was some interesting rapport back and forth between Shang and the girls in the front row. Then he always likes to say the word yogurty. So said that he actually liked this crowd that night. He also brought up about a zombie movie, but with gays, and that's how I think he kind of ended the show with, and talked about how he got into a fight with these two gay guys that were a couple. So that's really interesting, because once Shang says anything like that, the whole crowd is always laughing. So I would say Shang was an 8.9 out of 10 for his comedy. So after the show, I got a group picture with everybody except for Raymond. Raymond had to go perform at the Madhouse, but it's kind of cool. They actually let me do a group shot with them, and the fact that they let my friend also kind of be part of the shot too, because I insisted. So yeah, it was a good night of comedy. Afterwards, I went to get a couple slices of pizza from Prince Street Pizza, and it's pretty popular with the celebrities apparently. I got a veggie original and meat lovers, so they look pretty good. Especially one of them, I think it was the meat lovers that was fresh out of the oven. So I gotta get it. And Venkata got his own slices. I happen to have a Yelp coupon, buy one get one, so I decided to use that. So that's pretty cool. Good pizza, actually. I would say it's about 8.9 out of 10. Totally recommend it. And it's a good portion too. Afterwards, I took Venkata to the open mic at the Madhouse. Camille Waters actually was there. Actually, she was coming from Melissa Wiseman's show, from the San Pasqual Winery show, from the Bubble Toast Bar, and she came over with a couple of new comedians, and so I saw Camille do her thing. She's probably one of the best open mics that night, and I got to meet Vanessa Dawn. She was super funny too. So hopefully I see more of Vanessa Dawn around. and making people laugh here in San Diego, moving from Washington, Seattle, Washington. So that's nice to kind of see some new blood out here. And then I remember Alan Henderson was there. He did pretty well. There was some interesting crowd work going on with Carlos Figueroa and Demetrius Jackson. And the always comical Aaron Duran. There was one guy who didn't really say much during his comedy set, and I think he was given like 3 minutes. So I don't know if that was just a bit or he's actually trying. So, and there was this other short female. She was kind of blonde. I think she was moving here from Seattle, Washington as well, and she was super funny. She kind of reminds me of, I don't know if it's like Amy Fowler from SNL or something. So, anywho, I got to talk to both her and Vanessa Dawn when I was talking to Camille because I wanted Venkata to meet Camille. So, overall, great night of comedy. I'm glad I can bring my friends to the shows and meet the comics, so they can see what all the hype is about and why I'm posting so much and supporting all these comics. It's a great basis for this podcast too. So other than that, guys, Padres have been struggling this week. I mean, they did beat the Miami Marlins 2 out of 3, but at the same time, they just got swept by the Milwaukee Brewers. They led all 3 games, and they blew the lead in all 3 games. So I think the Brewers are hitting a stride right now, so definitely making the playoffs. But the Padres, they still need to claw. They're 61-70, I believe, and that gives them 31 games left to try to make the playoffs. They're trailing the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Cincinnati Reds for the final playoff spot, one of the last wild card spots. Yeah, I did get to try this Los Panchos Surf and Turf burrito. I finally went there when it wasn't Taco Tuesday, and you know, I was in a craving for a burrito. It's a really good burrito. I would say it's an 8.7 out of 10. So really good shrimp. The salsas they have, they kind of kick your butt. They kick my butt. One looks like it was kind of like avocado salsa, but it was actually jalapeno. So they really do have some good cucumbers, good decent carrots that you can take home. And yeah, and I think I already mentioned about the Women's World Cup. It already ended. Spain defeated England 1-0 to claim their first ever Women's World Cup championship, and I think Spain is the first country to win the World Cup in both men and women's soccer. So kudos to Spain. I also like to make a note here. Terry Funk and Bray Wyatt had both passed away this week. Terry Funk is one of the icons in wrestling, always with those hardcore matches. Just been part of a lot of organizations. And then you get Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt was a big star in WWE with The Fiend and Bray Wyatt. Apparently he had a heart attack, which stemmed from heart issues that came from having COVID. So it's pretty sad. Sad to hear, really. And then last thing, so I said earlier, I did start my fantasy football drafting. So my first draft is in the books. I'm going to start my own league on September 5th. We're going to be in season 16. I brought a new guy in because one guy quit the league as of yesterday. So luckily I found a replacement. Hopefully I can defend my championship and go back to back because I won last season. as a number 6 seed, and you know, hopefully I draft pretty well next a week from Tuesday, the day after Labor Day. Hopefully I can get guys like Austin Eckler and Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes on my team. I gotta get one of those three. So we'll see what happens. I did, so the draft that I did on Wednesday, because I couldn't decide if I wanted to go to the comedy show or not the same night right after the draft, is a PPR league, so it's a point per reception league. So big point bonuses. If you can get receivers, they get a lot of receptions. So my two key things that I did was that I got AJ Brown from the Philadelphia Eagles, and I got Amon-Ra from the Detroit Lions, and they both did pretty big last season, and I'm going to pick those two to help me with my PPR league. I did also get Mike Williams, and I also got Quentin Johnson, both from the Chargers, so they should help me out with my PPR. I think I also got Christian Kirk from the Jaguars, so I think he's going to do pretty well. I did get what's his name, Mark Andrews, the tight end from the Baltimore Ravens. I also got Dalton Schultz from the Houston Texans, who came from the Dallas Cowboys. So the Houston Texans, I also got the running back, Damon Pierce. Yeah, I don't know why Damien Pierce. Wrestling mind, yeah, so I got Pierce on my team from the Texans, and I also got J.K. Dobbins from the Ravens as well. And my quarterbacks are Geno Smith and Dak Prescott. I also have the Bengals defense, and I have Taylor Bass as my kicker from the Buffalo Bills. So with all of that, hopefully this team will do pretty well, and hopefully I can do some damage in this Tea Leaf Fantasy Football League. So wish me luck, guys. Hopefully I can get back to a championship in this one, because the last time I won a championship was 2016 in this league. So it's been 7 years. Gotta get back to the top again. And then there's my own league on September 5th. So hopefully I defend the championship in that one. And I think I'm part of one other league. It's through work. Hopefully I figure out what day that is, and I can start drafting for that one. All through Yahoo. Or I think it's through Yahoo. Anywho, I will talk to you guys later. Enjoy this beautiful day. Have some good food, good company. Have some, watch some good action. Watch some good comedy shows. And saying goes, boom. Tiggy Maximus signing off. Baby.